This week on Arizona Illustrated, Changemakers on the Navajo Nation.
People think that business is a white man in a suit coming to your community that wants something.
Exposure with photographer Daniel Schumann-Mraz.
All art is reflective of the person who's making it. But I think that photography especially, it's bam, this is my perspective.
London Rocket, the edible weed.
And I had no idea they were edible, so yeah, that's a shock to me. I thought they were poisonous. In fact, most of the weeds that I've ever run across I thought were poisonous.
And far afield with Laura and the Killed Men. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. Last month, producer Vanessa Barchfield traveled to the Navajo Nation in northern Arizona to visit with Native entrepreneurs and to hear the challenges they face and the opportunities they're creating during a time of major transition for the Navajo and Hopi economies. This is Changemakers.
This entire region is my ancestral homelands. I live with the land, I live from it. I have great respect for it.
The laws on the reservation were not made for us to create our own economy. They were made for companies to come and extract resources from our lands.
This power plant is shutting down. There's this big controversy whether it's going to stay open, whether, the Navajo Nation is going to keep it open.
It's no secret that the salary levels for those jobs are much higher than anywhere else on the Navajo Nation. And then there's also revenue to the tribal coffers. They're losing quite a bit of revenue through royalties that go to tribal services. So it's going to be a rough time for a lot of folks, but it's a time of change. I come from a family of silversmiths. So I grew up with people working every day but not actually going to work. Just with them making jewelry and then going on selling trips. We'd often go to Sedona or Phoenix or Santa Fe. I was always told when I went to college that I would be going for business. So I did. That's what I studied at ASU. When I was in college then, it was really about how to work for corporations, how to climb that corporate ladder. But I always knew that I had wanted to start my own business. People think that business is a white man in a suit coming to your community that wants something and that has found something on the reservation that they need and wants access to. That's the perception of what business is. So we wanted to change that view of what a Navajo entrepreneur was.
In listening to the entrepreneurs who come to our events year after year, people tell us the same entrepreneurial challenges over and over again. I don't have internet at my house, or I couldn't get an employment identification number because my roads aren't labeled, or I don't know how to...
So we are in Tuba City today. We are announcing the opening of Change Labs, which is an incubator and co-working space specifically for supporting entrepreneurship within the community. We threw around the idea that if we created something that was for the reservation, that we might be able to help people. And kind of the response from a lot of people was that there really aren't any businesses on the reservation.
And the ironic thing is that if you drive across the reservation, our flea markets are flourishing. There's all sorts of people set up on the sides of the roads, chopping wood, recycling batteries, selling fry bread. We have an extremely hyper-entrepreneurial culture, but it doesn't necessarily translate into local and sustainable small businesses set up in our communities.
So we started a campaign called I Am the Navajo Economy. And really that was to boost these entrepreneurs as being part of the economy as well.
I own a small food stand and also a small catering company called Alternative Eats, and we focus on Japanese-inspired food.
It's kind of awkward, like people think sushi in Tuba City, I don't know about that. He started with just a smaller menu, but it's taken off.
I always wanted to learn how to cook, but in my family, I guess, stereotypically the guy you have to become a welder or a pipe fitter. When I went to culinary school, there was so many foods that just really opened up my mind and my taste and my curiosity for different cultures. I always wanted to come back. I always wanted to come back to Tuba City and bring back what I've learned.
Shoshana Eco Retreat is a glamping bed and breakfast about 12 miles south of Page. Our guests come from all over the world. This is an immersion into nature, surrounded by it. You go and take a walk up the hill and you can come across any manner of creature that lives here in the desert. And it's surprising how many people crave that. We've been in business for about 4 years now. One of the main challenges of setting up a business here on the Navajo Nation is just wading through the paperwork that you have to go through, all of these regulations that you have to meet, as well as introducing the idea that you want to run a business here on the reservation.
When leadership thinks about economic development, they think of large-scale development projects. They don't think about small entrepreneurs.
For those of you who are currently running a business, where are you running it from? So there's a few options up here.
They don't think that entrepreneurship is a force, when really it's the force that's kept communities alive and able to survive.
Our incubator has been around officially for about 5 years. And we've had several businesses go through the incubator. We have 14 businesses that are currently in the incubator.
Okay, so those of you who have your hands raised, keep them up. How many of you have actually worked in a co-working space before?
So we do this through an application process. Once you get into the incubator, we have a series of get-togethers, just listening to each other's stories, their experiences. We bring graphic designers and branding experts. They do workshops on what a brand is, how to create a brand. Another event that we do is a financial deep dive, where we bring in accountants, and this is the part that's difficult. We have to do this in a setting where we sort of trap them there and say, okay, we have to talk about your profitability, your margins, your expenses. They don't want to do it at first, but once they actually see the numbers and they see, okay, I know what I need to do to reach that, it really helps them to move forward.
They really legitimized us. We had these professionals who were pushing us, who were excited about our idea, who wanted to see us succeed. Change doesn't come easily for anybody, and this represents a change for people.
Here in Tuba City on the reservation, if we were to get rid of Taco Bell, Bash's, Sonic's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, if we were to get rid of all of those overnight, whoever made the best hamburger in town is gonna be rich overnight. Whoever makes the best fried chicken in town, they're gonna be banking it. Like, why not let a native? What's wrong with a native getting rich? What's wrong with a native having a little money? What's wrong with a native being successful?
I see the drive that they have, and a lot of times it has nothing to do with money. It's because they want to live in their community, they want to raise their family here. I see that, I see the sacrifices they make. But I also see the potential. Growing up, what we as Navajo people were taught to believe was what was out here for us wasn't what was good for us. What was good for us was off the reservation or outside of what the Navajo Nation was. Our culture doesn't limit us, it actually is what we need to survive and to do more than survive, to be successful.
Sources have confirmed the Navajo Generating Station coal-fired power plant near Page, Arizona will close. Navajo lawmakers voted not to pursue acquisition of the plant. Construction of Change Lab's co-working offices in Tuba City should be completed later this year. Aspiring Native entrepreneurs are encouraged to participate. There are many ways to see the world and everything in it. For photographer Dan Schumann-Mraz, it's through a camera lens. And in that glass, he sees all the light and the dark in his own unique way.
All art is reflective of the person who's making it. But I think that, like, photography especially, because it's like, it's, bam, this is my perspective. I took this picture by, contorting myself like kind of a goof in front of a bunch of people, so that you can see this thing in a way that I think is aesthetically pleasing, that I really like, and that I want to share with you. I've only been shooting since November 2016. I was out of work and I had a camera, and then I just proceeded to spend just about every waking moment that I possibly could walking around town and taking pictures of stuff. And eventually my look was kind of starting to develop, or I guess my art. Certain things catch my eye and certain things don't. I've tried to kind of drill it down more than that, I guess, but I find it difficult to. There were times where I spent like literally weeks just inside. I have obsessive compulsive disorder, and specifically mine kind of focuses a lot on like obsessive thought. There are a lot of different ways that it can manifest in people, but I do have a big problem with like checking. Like, oh no, did I lock that door? Did I remember to lock the door? I gotta check the door. I would get up, open the front door, look at the deadbolt, see that it was locked. If it was a really bad night, I would be up, like every hour or something like that, just like checking it. Just checking and checking and checking and checking. So I started like just taking a picture on my cell phone every time I locked the door because I wanted to be sure that it was locked. That would be the one photo that I would take every day. Somebody told me a long time ago that I don't have a lot of people in my pictures, but they can feel people in all of them. And I think that that's pretty true. I found it was like an old scanned copy of this book, Understanding Exposure. It just really opened me up to like every photo doesn't necessarily have to be a correct exposure. Like you can fiddle around with settings and stuff to like try and find something to capture the way that you see it or the way that you want other people to see it. I gravitate toward things that are a little out of the ordinary in situations that are otherwise like kind of very mundane. I've always thought of it as kind of like a real, like kind of light surrealism. Like a dash of surreal on something that's kind of otherwise a little ordinary. The ones that, you know, kind of have a lot of interplay between the light and the darkness, those are very much me, I think. I say that photography saved my life. I've been to enough therapists to know the difference between like suicidal ideation and suicidal thought. So it's not like I was standing on like the ledge of a building and somebody was just like, hey dude, try out this camera and see what you think. And you know, it just turned everything around for me. But it was more just like, it brought me out of the doldrums. It gave me something that I can like look forward to, and it gave me a way to communicate the way that I feel sometimes without words. It can be a little weird to, you know, take a picture of like a traffic cone that's in the middle of a street and say like, you know, I really identify with this traffic cone, but sometimes I do.
Recent rains in the lower Sonoran Desert have provided much needed water for flora and fauna alike. Even the weeds are happy, like this one. This is the London rocket, a common and prolific grower in Tucson and a member of the mustard family. It is edible and nutritious, and tossed in super salad, it is also delicious.
Okay, would you like to taste any?
Sure, I'd like to taste one little piece. Very nice.
Do you want to try a piece? It's in the mustard family. The leaves themselves are very piquant and spicy, so they are very edible, raw or cooked. It's already gone to seed in certain cases. You could harvest the seeds and make your own mustard. So yeah, a great way to get a lot of seasonal food into your diet and high-powered nutrition. My name is Jill Lorenzini, and I work for a nonprofit group in Tucson called Desert Harvesters. The food bank hires myself and others to teach demonstrations here, to offer free education to people who come to the market and are interested in healthy foods and also food security and water security.
I like the choya. I don't know how to use choya.
Well, today the demo is on wild greens, but I've also brought barrel cactus fruit because they happen to be in season. So in winter there was a demo on barrel cactus. Right now, as we kind of enter early spring, it's wild greens like mustard.
I think it's great that we have educators who are here to show us this, because when I was younger, we had a lot more desert in Tucson back then. I had the blessing of having a grandmother who would, show me, and she was very good about taking us out and holding the bag as she was cutting nopales or pulling the persilade. She probably thought nothing of it because that's just what they did.
Didn't know anything about them except for that they were weeds. And when I think of a weed, I think of that. I call them dandelions, but I don't think they're dandelions because I know a dandelions a little bigger. And I had no idea they were edible. So yeah, that's a shock to me. I thought they were poisonous. In fact, most of the weeds that I've ever run across I thought were poisonous. I've never attempted to put them in my mouth. Now, if somebody just went ahead and put them in my salad and I tasted them, maybe I wouldn't even consider it, because most of my salads are always covered in ranch dressing. Ranch hides a multitude of sins, man.
It's a thrill to interact with the public this way because I think people are looking for tools, looking for a way to feel connected to place. That's what moves me. And so anytime I can offer that up for people and hear their stories and share food, that's the basic way that we get to know one another, and it feeds me too,
Are you going to look at weeds a different way now?
I will look at more weeds for sure, because I did not know about the linden, yeah.
For a limited time, because they'll be wilted by tomorrow, I have a whole pile of them in my backyard, so yeah, you can come back and get them if you're interested. So.
It is recommended that you pick London rocket in places that are free of contaminants, such as herbicides or pet waste, or just grow them in your own backyard. Be sure to rinse before eating. Bon appetit. And now, from our Far Afield series, this is Laura and the Killed Men, performing Sarah's Room, filmed on location at Danny's Babakivari in Tucson. Thanks for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.